Hello everyone, I'm Ferdi Salvador. Join us in unlocking the tricks of the trade here on Trade Talks. Let's get down to business. More and more people are discovering the joy of travel. For those who want to take a break from the daily grind, to those who just want to spend some quality time with their loved ones. But to have a great travel experience, one has to take care of several factors, from plane tickets to hotel bookings to the travel itinerary, among others. Worry no more, because Jeron Travel and Tours Corporation can handle all that for you. And to tell us more about their services, Chal Lontoc Del Rosario, President of Jeron Travel and Tours and part of the board of PTAA, join us in the studio this morning. Good morning, Chal. Thank you so much for spending time with us this morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me here.
Yes, there's a lot of questions I want to ask you, aside from obviously just your business.
Yes.
As you said, hot topics in the travel industry here in the Philippines and around the world, right? So tell me, you are a bespoke travel agency. What does that mean?
Well, we actually cater to customizing and personalizing travels, but not just for families, for individual travelers, but also for corporations, because more and more people are choosing experiences as their way to incentivize their team or even their other dealers.
Yeah, but isn't travel an experience in itself already? So what does that entail? Like, a lot of people keep saying, it's about the experience, but what does that really mean?
That means actually making very specific choices as to what particular experience you would want. So for example, you're, let's say, a food brand and you want to make your team or your other stakeholders learn more about creation of food, so you go to a certain place. So there's learning involved. There's also events in a way, because you're trying to create an eventful or something meaningful for the clients. There's also occasions that we do. So it doesn't matter if it's destination weddings or even proposals, which is very big nowadays as well.
Yes, you started in 1993.
Yeah.
You were very young.
Too young.
But why come up with a travel agency on your own?
So this was actually started as a family business by my mom.
Family business.
So it was by my mom.
Okay.
She already passed away, but she was a foreigner.
Okay.
And she came to the Philippines, fell in love with the Philippines, and really was one of the pioneering travel agents to talk about the Philippines abroad. So it was basically
where did she come
inbound.
from? Hong Kong or
Taiwan. So it was inbound then.
Okay.
And then we grew it until we became IATA certified, which means we can issue tickets for anyone and for other travel agents as well.
Yes.
And outbound just grew. Right now, we have so much access for Filipinos to fly abroad, diba? Basically anyone can fly abroad already.
Yes, but of course, from Fortune 500 companies to solo travelers, you define luxury, customization, and all of that. But with the rise of technology, with the rise of accessibility, and anyone can click a destination.
True.
And become their own travel agent now. So why are travel agents still relevant? Or are you still relevant?
Of course. I love this question. Three things. First is, when you have a wedding, you could actually DIY and do it yourself. But why still get a wedding organizer, right? So it's the same thing with travel agents. We're there to support you, to organize, because we have that expertise to actually look for certain routes, certain flights. Second, you mentioned OTAs or online travel agents and platforms. There's a lot of scamming that's happening right now. You won't believe it. That's one of the things that we are fighting with all other travel associations. People buying packages online. If it's too good to be true, then it's not true. That's what I always say, So we're not just talking about flights. Yes, I have nothing against with online platforms. We actually don't mind using them, and we also incorporate them when we plan for our clients. It's more of actually being able to customize and personalize something according to what you want.
So that's how you've evolved, because before, travel agents would be like, hi, can you book me a package?
Point A to point B.
Correct.
Correct.
So what are the other unique services that make you relevant?
Wow, nowadays I say if travel, maybe pag-retire ko, I can write a book without an NDA because we hold everyone's secrets and identities and how they actually create and choose to travel,
Ooh,
diba?
I like secrets.
No, but
and
seriously speaking, the evolution came by actually adding meaningful travel. So right now, you're gonna be hearing a lot of people saying, "Yeah, I want to go to Japan." It's our next Hong Kong from the old days, diba? Before everyone's just in Japan. But the more that we go to a certain place, the more we want to look for something different. Because we keep going back, right?
Yes.
So there are new experiences there in certain places, whether it's cruising, whether it's a food tour, whether it's a fashion tour, whether anything you can think of.
I have a very important question because, for example, yes, you can go to reputable OTAs, so hopefully you don't get scammed,
Yes.
right? And travel agents alike.
Yeah.
Right now, there is a conflict in the Middle East, and it's disrupting a lot of travel because the Middle East, we cannot deny, is a major travel hub because of major airlines flying in and out of that region. With an OTA, can you divert your flights and make sure that you're taken care of, or is this the job of a travel agent?
So with certain platforms, good luck with getting a hold of a real human being to talk to when you're in an emergency. That's one of the things also that we do, most especially for our clients. So yes, you mentioned the Middle East conflict. So for example, certain flights are being redirected because certain routes cannot be passed through.
Yeah.
So,
Apparently now you cannot fly from the Philippines to Europe. I heard that
diverted.
It's diverted, and you have to actually add 2 more hours to your flight.
Certain legs will be added and
Yeah.
replaced there. So this is where our service actually comes in because we take care of that. Not just these things, of course, even refunding. I remember during the pandemic, everyone who got from online platforms had no one to talk to, didn't know how to be taken care of. So you're talking about rebookings, you're talking about refunds, and you're also talking about giving you the best advice prior to actually anything
what about
happening.
pricing? Kasi, for example, people go normally direct to a OTA source
Yes.
to get the cheapest available flights possible, right? For certain individuals.
Yes.
And of course, they don't go to a traditional travel agency because they think, they're gonna add more, obviously, to the ticket price.
Okay.
How do you circumvent that?
Let's give the structure. So certain travel agents already, of course, have contracted rates with airlines, with hotels, with resorts for certain packages. We do have that privilege, but of course, we also add to that a service fee. We're very transparent about that because it is a service, an end-to-end service to begin with. So from booking your flights all the way to you arriving to point B, all the way to you coming back home. So you can still get cheaper flights. I just want to correct that because people think that by going online on a platform, wala na, it's cheaper. No, there's also a service fee. You'll also find a service fee. Now, going to airlines, yes, there will also be a platform fee, convenience fee as they call it. So it's not really about a particular source. If I go to you, it's cheaper. If I go to them, it's more expensive. It's more about, number one, timing. People always ask me, when is the best time to buy travel? And if I can be completely honest, eto na po yung sikreto.
Yeah.
It's when there's a promo. That's it. I know it sounds simple. I know it sounds, pretty trivial, but it's really when there's a promo.
Right. But, these are, we're probably referring to more leisure travel, right? But what about business travelers? Because on a whim, I need to fly from point A to point B. What's the best way without you putting yourself as a travel agent? What would you suggest? Is it still a travel agent that you can go to for convenience, or do I go to a platform so that, as you said,
Okay. Last minute travels, whether it's for business or for whatever reason, emergency travel needs.
It's more expensive, definitely, but
it will come generally more expensive, especially on the day itself.
Yeah.
No? Most expensive is if you buy direct sa airport. Number one,
Yes.
at least we get that out.
Never
airport.
buy direct
sa
to airport.
That I'm being honest, and most people already know this. If you get it straight from the airport, as soon as you land there, definitely the price changes.
yeah, it's happened to me once. Going from Japan, that's like...
Then that's when you call. That's when you call. But if you're in the airport, you want to check for prices, okay? Aside from that, not the going directly to the airport, I would also suggest that, you know, there are platforms online where you can compare already. They're not necessarily selling platforms, but they can compare already flights. But it doesn't mean, I'll just add there, it doesn't mean if they compare certain platforms from different airlines, it doesn't mean it's also the cheapest.
I know you've got these promo things. What do you call it? Travel hood, was it?
Yes, travel hood. So there are fares. There are travel fares
so
all
that
throughout
kind
the
of
year.
promos.
So if you already have fixed travel, especially, you know, the hottest time to travel right now is December. It's not anymore summer.
No more.
It's already that bit of December to January, and you have that October 31, November 1, November 2. So these two bits are very top prices. Ibig sabihin, mahal. Mahal na talaga
so
siya.
no more summer travel that's so mahal.
Only because na-divide na yung summer natin. The school of the kids, di ba, meron ng June, July na summer, and meron na ring April, May. Depends on where you go to school. So, na-divide na yung demand.
Why is there a shift to that? Kasi before, you call it the June bride, di ba?
Yeah.
Now, it is a December, January bride, right? Because people, I guess, that's when they have holidays
and
from
it's
the
moved
US,
to December
Europe.
already, actually.
Yeah.
Mas laganap na nga ang December bride because family gets to fly in and spend time, Christmas, all packed together na rin. So, it's really just supply and demand. So, since summer has been divided into different schedules, the demand has also been divided, which makes the price a little bit easier, as opposed to the two vacations that I was talking about. Prices really skyrocket. So, it's really best to actually plan that ahead, know your dates of travel, get everyone, rally them together, your family, your friends, and then buy during travel expos. So there's several travel expos all throughout the year. This is a really good tip for everyone out there. Why? Because this is the time na sabay-sabay lahat ng airlines, lahat ng resorts, all these brands, even cruises, go down. Because there's a huge demand. Everyone goes on. Credit card companies start coming in and also delivering. So this is during February, during the PTA Travel Tour Expo. There's also one in July, and there's also one in August with Travel Hood for luxury travel naman yun.
Yeah. So, but I have a lot of questions because not only about these promos, but the expense of traveling domestically. But I'm going to ask you that right after our break. So we're going to be right back here in Trade Talks. We're going to take a short break. Stay with us. Welcome back to Trade Talks, the High Life. We continue our conversation with Chal Lontoc Del Rosario. She's the president of Jeron Travel and Tours and part of the board of PTAA. So before we took the break, this is what I really want to ask.
The hot topic.
One of my hot topics. Why is it so expensive to travel domestically in the Philippines? Whether or not you have promos or like travel, travel expos.
Fairs and expos, okay. Funny enough, we were just in a press conference with DOTR Secretary Dizon and also our DOT Secretary Frasco and DOTR Secretary Dizon. And this is one of the hot topics. If you post it any time online, sisikat ka talaga with likes and views and people commenting na, bakit mas mahal ang domestic travel than international? Yes. Well, if I will really break it down to the most basic reason, it's really supply and demand. So you've got places like Batanes, which I love and I love to promote, but because there's only one carrier flying to it, then obviously they have the monopoly and the route to a certain place, which makes the rates go up. Yes, that's one of the reasons.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Of course, supply and demand, definitely. However, there are certain destinations wherein, yes, there's a lot of demand. There's also supply because there are aircrafts that that can fly. And I'm gonna say this. I might get bashed for this, but I'm gonna say it because a friend of mine was flying on the way home. Well, this friend of mine lives in Siargao, and this friend of mine had to fly to Manila. And this friend of mine posted that she paid 22,500 for a one-way ticket.
Okay, that is crazy.
But why?
So, I'm a traveler too, so I definitely understand this sentiment, no? So just to give an understanding, and then the solution that we were able
But I'm
to
not
discuss.
saying that it happens all the time. Let's
No,
clarify
but it does
that.
happen, and it shouldn't
Okay,
happen,
so from
actually.
you,
And it shouldn't happen.
Yeah.
So, just for people's understanding and appreciation, you could be in one airplane, and my fare, even if I'm next to you in economy or business class, could be actually times 5 of yours. Imagine that, times 5 or 6 or whichever amount, no? Because there's what we call revenue sharing, where in the market, if you buy it ahead, may piso fare.
Of course.
Of course. And then if you buy it in the middle, let's say through a travel agent, ito naman yung special rate with the travel agent. If you buy it direct to the airline platform, may 10 upuan dyan, ito mababa. And that's why there are letters to these classes,
Yes,
A, B, C, D, E.
Q, yes, J.
Even though I explain it that way, and it's really the real reason, I still believe, and I'm with you and the rest of the Philippines with this, Ferdi, that there has to be a way to lower this. And one of the ways really, which we also discussed with our government, is to really, one, increase the demand. Second is to incentivize other routes. Because there are certain routes that are not given allocations or seats that would disperse medyo the market and, create better rates for all of us.
So is this a chicken and egg situation?
Kind of, but the more we raise the topic and talk about it, the more they are taking notice.
Yes, I'm not.
So I'm happy you brought it up.
Yeah, but I'm not bashing agencies or anything like
Yes,
that.
actually,
Government or
it is
travel.
not with the agencies because remember, we do not actually have
Yeah, 'cause
control with the airline
it's
rates.
private. It's a business, I
So
understand.
what we offer is service. Rather, we don't sell the seats of the aircraft. I always tell my team, we don't own the
Yeah,
seats.
because
We
like
don't
this
own the
child,
rooms. Oo.
Like for example, Secretary Frasco's working 10 times as hard as.
Yes, she's very busy now.
But obviously, she can't tell the airline, "Hey guys, I'm trying to promote, let's say, Siargao, Bohol, or whatever destination it is, right?" But she can only do so much with the rates of the
She
airline.
is actually making the calls with airlines. We will be convening soon with them. Both travel agents, airlines, and the government sector will convene and sit down and actually get to it.
Correct, kasi you can promote and promote, but however,
Yes, it also affects our business,
yeah, because if the flights are too expensive,
You
then
know,
why would I go?
At the end of the day, as a traveler ourselves, you could check. A flight domestically can be compared now to a flight to Taipei or Vietnam.
Chal, sorry, I've experienced this. I flew to the south. With the amount of money I paid for my return ticket, I could have flown business class to Bangkok.
Wow, yeah,
And this is not last minute. It was 3 weeks prior.
yeah.
So, and I'm not saying, but perhaps it was a high season,
Yeah.
at the high period to travel, but still. What's your travel hack? What's the cheapest day to fly in a week?
Cheapest day?
Yeah.
See, that's a lie. I always see that online. So I'm going to reveal that now. That is a lie. It's best to book on Tuesday and Wednesday.
Correct. That's when I book.
Complete lie online.
Because if you fly Friday, of course, there's a lot of commuters.
Okay. So there's
Fly
a
back
lot.
Monday or Sunday.
There's a lot of these talks of people who are not in the industry saying book on Tuesday, book your tickets on Wednesday, or buy your tickets 3 months prior, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
All of these hacks, not true. And I'm boldly saying it because it is actually, again, still incorporating several airlines all at the same time. That's why I said, as simple as it may sound, the best time to buy a cheaper ticket is when there's a promo. What do I mean by that? What do I mean by
Yes.
that? If you see, let's talk about business class because that's another hot topic, right?
My goodness, I was about to ask you.
Okay, so if you see $1,000 plus business class, you're in luck. Get it. Don't even ask questions.
Yes.
Okay, $2,000, that's still a deal.
That's
a good
still in
steal.
luck, yeah.
A good steal. 3,000, that's actually normal.
Yes.
Because people might think, what? No, that's actually normal. 4,000 is your regular rate. Your regular rate. That's how crazy it is right now because there's a huge demand also with business class. So
Yeah, but why? By the way, sorry, I'm gonna digress now because we're running out of time.
Yeah.
But I want to get as much information as I can from you. Why is there such a huge demand right now for premium travel, business and first class? Like it's so hard to book.
good question.
It's not only hard to book. You can book, but with a more expensive rate.
Exorbitant prices
Yeah.
na sometimes. Okay, yes, there's limited seats in business class. We all know this. But believe it or not, social media has actually contributed to this. So because of the wake of social media, everyone going to TikTok, going online, posting about different ways that they get to experience the business in first class, there's more interest. And what's funny is...
So you're lifestyling. That's
That-
why...
is that the word, lifestyling?
That's why there's a demand.
That's one of the reasons. You know, I remember a few years back prior to the pandemic, the rates were so much cheaper, and yet it was always wide open.
Yes.
You're talking about $1,700 going to Europe. You barely can see that right now.
Yeah, I
yeah,
remember
for business class,
particular
those
airline,
beautiful days. But now it's so much higher.
So it's not because Pinoys have more money. It's because it's lifestyling.
I would leave that to the statistics of the government. But I
Okay.
really believe it's more of the awareness now. So
The
people
awareness.
actually get to see, ganun pala sa business class. This is how first class is.
Yes.
So they actually get to use it.
All right.
Also, plus, let me just add, because of social media, people are also learning how to use their credit card and their miles.
Correct.
Yeah.
Last question for you, Chal. What is your favorite mistake
Favorite mistake in travel in general?
in general?
Oh dear, I was not ready for this. Favorite mistake is actually saying yes to this wonderful job, because it was not supposed to be meant for me. But I came in and I'm here helping not just our family business or not just the business that I own right now, but also the industry and pushing it forward.
Thank you, Chal. I could talk to you all day, but unfortunately, we don't have enough time. Thank you so much for joining me on Trade Talks this morning.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. And that is it for today's show. I'm Ferdi Salvador. Catch the Bilyonaryo News channel on Free TV channel 31 and on cable via Cignal channel 24. Thanks for watching the Bilyonaryo News channel. Always on top.